During this process, I have made massive progress in my familiarity with the various technologies and media platforms that I was either unaware of or not confident in using before creating my coursework piece. To start with, I had never utilised a blogging site to its full potential before, unless you count Tumblr, which is driven more towards social media aspects at times. This was different as my blog has a purpose and it displays a hopefully chronological timeline of my work with my group on this one particular AS project. This meant I had to adapt to certain aspects and learn my way around the EduBlog's website. My first few layout ideas were found to be too complicated, as the content was getting lost in the over-complexity of the visuals I had used. This made me realise a more toned-down design that looks neat and professional is much better and more efficient at displaying my content. Within the use of the blogging site, I finally became familiar with embedding codes, a concept I had a vague understanding of, but never truly invested time into understanding. It turns out it's a really simple process that applied to the majority of websites we were using for our work. You simply copy and paste the embedded code into your blog post. This massively enhanced the visual aspect of my blog. Before, I had a long list of links to various YouTube videos, slide shares, prezzies, etc., whereas now they are actually visible within the blog itself as they have been embedded. This is a useful lesson for me, and I will continue to use this in further projects. The use of a blog to document the progress of my work introduced me to new presentation software which I'm now more comfortable using. For example, Prezi, which is a virtual canvas that allows the presentation you create a sense of fluidity from one item to the next that systems such as PowerPoint perhaps cannot offer you. This is because it incorporates different kinds of graphics and you have free control over the zoom of the canvas. This adds an element of interest to your presentation, a new dynamic so your presentation has movement and a process. Prezi is effective as it gives you the option of various templates to adapt and work with, which helped me massively improve the professionalism of my work. SlideShare and PowerPoint were tools I was already familiar with, and they are useful to present information in a slide-by-slide format with the addition of a visual element over sites such as Microsoft Word, which are good, but at the end of the day are simply text. However, PowerPoint itself cannot be embedded, so I chose to expand my knowledge and look for different ways of getting it into my blog. I learnt how to use OneDrive cloud storage and use Microsoft Online, something I didn't even know existed, but I will definitely be using again. Another site we used was, of course, YouTube. I was already fairly aware with how to use that, especially seeing as we used it for our preliminary task. However, it was useful to use it some more and get more experience with it. All these new softwares came in handy when completing my evaluation task, including this one right now. I feel quite comfortable with the camera in my hand, so filming was not an arduous process for me. However, it was a model and design of camera we had not encountered before as a group, so we had to figure out various and, dare I say it, obvious functions that we would need. For example, the record button and of course the playback button. I learnt having the tripod legs fully extended the majority of the time during filming is the simplest way to ensure the shots line up in the editing process, rather than using the tripod with the legs at varying heights, which tends to only lead to wobbly footage or an undesired slanted horizon. The preliminary task was an invaluable introduction into the school's editing software, Adobe Premiere Elements 8. This meant we had a certain degree of familiarity with what we were going to be using to put our piece together. Our main challenge during the post-production process was learning how to achieve the split screen effect. This required ample research from everyone so we all understood the process. It involved layering the footage and using the crop effect along with several transitions. Eventually we all became familiar with the process and we were confident in using it. Unfortunately, due to a technical error, once our piece is exported out of the editing suite, the split screen effect becomes corrupted and ineffective, despite working perfectly during the post-production process itself. This is a problem that we as a group and various others, including our teacher, have not been able to identify or properly solve. But, on the upside, I increased my knowledge of the use of audio in the editing process. Not only did we try new sites such as freesound.org, but I realised the sound levels can be very specifically controlled within each clip using several points to bring the volume up and down, whether it's the separate music or the audio from the clip itself, and then it can be layered. We deleted some of the footage audio as it wasn't required due to the lack of dialogue and diegetic sound within our piece at various times. I learnt a lot more about overlaying and the movement of text and credits within the clip, which is a very useful editing technique. I'm happy to say that I feel much more confident using the various technologies I have described, and hopefully improved my technological diversity to a point where I am now able to achieve a better and higher quality standard of work.